Next, a segment we call Super Bowl Pretender or Contender. Jeffrey, your Indianapolis Colts. Super Bowl pretender or contender?
Absolute contender. Listen, this team is top 5 in passing, top 6 in rushing, leading the league in scoring. They got a top 3 scoring defense. All of this, they got an offensive line that's mauling people. Jonathan Taylor's putting the ball, making it happen. Warren has been an insanely good addition to this offense. You got Pierce, Pittman, Downs. These guys are all, it's balls being spread around. Steichen's done a great job. This is a very good football team. They're absolute contenders.
And you didn't even mention the new coordinator. I think they'll get better as the season goes on. I think Jeff is absolutely right. These guys are real Super Bowl contenders.
That would be a story. Kmart, Baker, and the Bucks. Pretender or contender?
You already know. They're a contender. In a season of injuries, the Bucks continue to be down, guys. And what does Baker do? He continues to find ways to win. Yeah. Kembo sent me these stats. He's first in the league in 40-yard passing touchdowns, first in 30-yard passing touchdowns, and first in 20-yard passing touchdowns. Dang. He did it without Emeka Egbuka. He left in that game. No Mike Evans. So many guys are injured, and he just finds ways to win.
No Chris Godwin, no Bucky.
An offense to pair with this great defense, they'd be fine. The defense is no longer great, and the offense doesn't really seem like it's consistently rolling. We'll see what happens when they match up against some higher caliber teams.
Or we'll see if the offense gets better and better, as their quarterback suggests it might. He's 41 years old, but Aaron Rodgers says he is finally now starting to feel like his old self.
I think I'm kind of going like this body-wise. You know, I'm just getting healthier. I had a great break on the bye week. I'm feeling like, first couple weeks, I was a little tighter, I felt like, and I'm starting to loosen up and feel a little bit more like myself.
Look, we had a good discussion on Sunday Countdown about whether this group around Rodgers is comparable to the group that Brady had when he went to Tampa. And the answer was generally no. Brady had better players. He had a better defense, as good as we think this defense should be, and he had all the rest of that. The point, I guess, is if Rodgers, who has been something of a facsimile of himself, does really start to feel better, does start to get hot, does start to play a little bit more like an MVP than what we've seen the last couple of years, does that change anyone's mind about the Steelers being ready to make a deep run?
It does not for me. I don't see them being able to sustain this offensively because they don't run the ball well. And as teams start to score, right, they play the Browns, who has a great defense, but they're not scoring any points. So you can stay conservative. You can stay kind of in your game plan. And you still saw Aaron having to move out of the pocket and make throws on the run. At some point, the pressure is going to catch up to them. I think they have to be better. They have to establish the run in a much better way, and they're going to have to make sure DK Metcalf, but it's going to be led by the defense. If their defense doesn't play lights out, this team is not going anywhere in the playoffs.
Kmart, you had their game this past weekend. What did you hear from them? What did you observe?
I love this defense, but being in that locker room, standing in front of Jalen Ramsey, he's talking about, he had 2 sacks in that game, by the way, but he's talking about, I'm on this defense, you turn around and you see just the versatility. I'm playing with T.J. Watt. I'm playing with Highsmith. I'm dealing with Nate Herbig. Like, all of these guys together, they are tough, but it's almost like the Browns. When we talk about the Browns, like, they have a great defense, and yet the offense is kind of dragging them down. That game, that score at halftime was 9-3. So when I look at this offense, it's a lot of get the ball out quick. Aaron's got to get it out quick, kind of dink and dunk a little bit, and then he makes this tremendous touchdown throw in the back of the end zone. I think that is hard. It's hard to sustain. Especially when you got to go against good teams with really good offenses.
I think it's early in the season, so there's hope that the offense gets better. You could still say Aaron Rodgers is just starting to feel completely better about his Achilles. The offense is growing around him, so they could get better. And the talent on defense certainly suggests that they could be dominant, but you actually need these things to happen. If you check in on them in 4 weeks and they start playing that way, it's a different story, but we haven't seen it yet. We've seen a defense with more names, but they've actually taken a step back as far as production is concerned. And you've seen Aaron Rodgers in this offense not really take control of very many games.
Peter, put a ribbon on it.
I think there was a hesitancy to jump in on the Steelers because of that mix of familiar old school names, the Jalen Ramseys, the Aaron Rodgers, and of course the DK Metcalfs. All these names are like, well, are they on the back nine? Truth of the matter is their young guys have been playing better than expected too. So there's this great mesh. I was a little hesitant saying, yes, Steelers, they've got it because it's a long season. But they have a young core that's helping out as well. They are pretty well balanced.
And the stat that was on the screen a moment ago is a good one. They have as many wins as the entire rest of their division does.
Welcome to a Mad Dog
Wednesday this morning on First Take. I'm Peter Schrager. We've got Stephen A. We've got Mad Dog. We've got Kimberly Martin. We're all here. Let's kick things off with some Thursday night football talk. Stephen A's Steelers are set to face off against their division rival Bengals. It will be the second start for Joe Flacco since being traded to Cincinnati, and he'll be up against Aaron Rodgers, who has turned back the clock and has the Steelers at a 4-1 record. Tomorrow will only be the second time in NFL history that two starting quarterbacks will be going up against each other in their 40s. The other one was Tom Brady versus Drew Brees in 2020. Here's Aaron Rodgers on the Thursday night matchup.
Oldest quarterback's playing this week. Let's go. Woo! Icy hot ball. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's great for all the old guys, you know. I know that when I watch other sports, maybe it's because I'm the older guy, but I tend to pull for the older guys to win championships. I've known Joe for a long time. He's been great coming to my charity event. He's been a great ambassador for the league. He's had a great career, and it's fun that we're both still playing.
All right, that's obviously great respect Rodgers has for Flacco. The Steelers seem to be rolling, but Kimberly, should they be on upset alert as they head against Cincinnati Thursday night?
I think so. I understand the Bengals don't have Joe Burrow. I get that. But divisional games, they're always a little weird, always something unexpected. And Mad Dog, you love stats? Where's your little almanac? You love
I didn't bring it. Okay. I have it. I didn't bring it.
Do you know what the Steelers' record on Thursday night road games is?
I
the
do
Super
not.
Bowl era? They're 0-8.
Wow.
So, again,
good one.
I think this is an improved Steelers team from last year, but I will cover that Browns-Steelers game over the weekend. Do you also know what the halftime score was of that game, Mad Dog?
This past 9-3, wasn't it?
9-3. Field goals, Mad Dog. We're talking field goals. So when I look at the Steelers, I think this is a team that can make the playoffs. However, their offense does kind of worry me a little bit because until Rodgers finds somebody deep, it's a lot of quick passes, get the ball out. I just wonder about them consistently throughout the season. So, yeah, I think it's a divisional game, and they should be on upset alert.
I think it is, too. I agree with you. I had the over, by the way, in the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. It was 38, so 23-9 doesn't add to 38.
No, it doesn't.
I needed Gabriel to score a touchdown there at the end. Here's the stat for you. Can I throw Stevie a stat? This is an interesting one. Do you know that last week Flacco only became the 7th quarterback since 1950 to play against the same team on a different team twice in the same year? So in other words, he was on 2 different teams playing against the same team, and the last guy to do it was Jack Kemp.
That was on the wind.
In 1962. Oh, you caught it too.
Yeah,
good for you, Peter.
Good for you, Peter.
No wonder you sit in that chair. That is a good job on your part. But I am with Kimberly. I think the Bengals are going to play a pretty competitive game. You know, they played well against Green Bay. Game was 24-18, 3rd and 9. He makes the big pass play, Love. Oh, that game, they could have had the ball back. Yep. I mean, I actually think the Bengals were very competitive on the road in Lambeau, and I think they'll play pretty well here this week. Close game.
Stephen A., give us a reason to watch this game. What do we got here for the Steelers side?
Well, the first reason is because I disagree with both Kimberly and Doggy. Let's get that out the way first. Kimberly's wrong because one of the biggest reasons she's wrong is because she's siding with Doggy, who's a degenerate gambler, and we all know that he's going to sit up there and look at the angles and how much money he can make and get away with it. That ain't going to cut the mustard. I'm telling you that right now. The Cincinnati Bengals, we came into the season recognizing how horrid their defense was. They haven't been that god-awful, but they certainly haven't been impressive. So we've got to get that out of the way. Offensively, they've been anemic. Yeah, you go out and you get Joe Flacco. His first game in the Cincinnati Bengal uniform, you have him throw the football 45 times. He still throws for about 219 yards. He didn't turn the ball over. Congratulations. It's so touching. But in the end, when you're going up against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that's going to be able to get at a stationary quarterback, that should be problematic for them. I know he's torched them last year. I know he's torched them in the past when he was with the Indianapolis Colts last year and before that when he was with the Browns. But still in all, you should be able to get to Joe Flacco. I know he's familiar with the Steelers. I know Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are elite weapons. But in the end, the way the Steelers defense is flowing, The fact that he's new to this and still trying to figure things out in terms of being in the Cincinnati Bengal uniform with their system schematically, with Zach Taylor coaching, I think that's something the Steelers defense can exploit more than he can exploit their defense. Offensively, we're talking about a guy in Aaron Rodgers that's completing about 69% of his passes, that's got about 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on the season. And I'm talking about this guy since late last season. He's thrown, I think it's like since week 8 or 9 of last season, where he had the worst season of his career, going 5-12. Aaron Rodgers is throwing like 28 touchdowns and just 7 interceptions with a QBR under 100. The man has been balling right now. And then you're getting DK Metcalf. He's becoming a bit more active, of course. Of course, you've got Freiermuth Smith out there with them, along with other weapons. I think the Steelers are flooring right now. If you can beat Minnesota in Dublin, if you can beat Cleveland and neutralize them the way that you could, you should be able to handle the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, they might score a few points, but you should be able to neutralize them to some degree. The Steelers shouldn't be on upset alert if they are what we think they are. If they're not and they do get upset, then they're what? Then you know what? They ain't what we thought they were. That's how I'm looking at it.
They're 4-1. And
hey, Steelers Nation Wire, gather round, because this is a moment where heart, hustle, and hope collide. You feel that electricity in the air? That's us, the faithful, gripping every play, watching every injury, waiting for the rise. Let me take you through what's happening, what's at stake, and why I believe the black and gold will press forward stronger than ever. We begin with a tough blow. Miles Killebrew, a captain, a stalwart on special teams, a warrior in the trenches, has suffered what his coach called a significant knee injury. And the news area is already confirming he's ruled out for the upcoming clash against the Bengals. He was injured covering a kickoff return versus the Browns, unable to put weight on his leg, needing help off the field, and ultimately carted away. This isn't a minor bumps and bruises situation. Even Coach Tomlin acknowledged it as the only injury in that game worth that label. This loss stings not just because of what Killebrew brings on the field, but because of who he is. A voice, a leader, a captain. Tomlin said it plainly. He's our captain. From a football perspective, one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity, and we certainly have some capable people. That's the culture of Pittsburgh. You hurt, we hurt with you, but we don't crumble. Now, the Steelers have already moved to fill the void. They hosted former All-Pro special teamer George Odom for a visit. Odom's resume speaks loudly. First team All-Pro in 2020, second team in 2022. Over 2,000 career special team snaps, experience as a core special teams ace. He's exploring a potential role as Killebrew's replacement, and even though he's 31 and coming off elbow surgery that led to his release from the 49ers, his pedigree is too tempting to ignore. It's not just Odom in the discussion. The Steelers have also opened the 21-day practice window for linebacker Malik Harrison, who's been on injured reserve. Harrison, if healthy, could help bridge the special teams gap or shift roles to give Pittsburgh flexibility. Everything here ties to how the Steelers respond. Yes, the field conditions at Acrisure Stadium have come under fire. Players and coaches alike have voiced serious concerns. Some describe the turf as embarrassingly bad, dry, and prone to kicking up chunks of grass underfoot. Killebrew's non-contact knee injury occurred while making a plant on that field, and many wonder if the surface played a role in this setback. The stadium is reportedly going to re-side the grass, and the club says steps are being taken. This is more than just bad luck. It's a structural issue that the team must address if it's going to maintain safety, consistency, and credibility. But here's where my faith comes in. Adversity is the grindstone that shapes champions. The Steelers have faced injuries, setbacks, doubters. They've clawed out victories with grit, scheme, and heart. This moment is no different. It's yet another test. We already see names like Chuck Clark, Deshaun Elliott, Juan Thornhill, or future call-ups like Harrison being considered to fill gaps. And that's how it should be. Resilient, resourceful, ready. My conclusion? This is a tough break, no doubt about it, but I believe the Steelers will rebound. This is a team built on culture, accountability, and stepping up when the lights get brightest. They have the staff, the locker room leadership, the fans, and the momentum. The addition of Odom could be a savvy move, and the flexibility to activate Harrison gives me hope that Pittsburgh won't just survive, they'll reconfigure, adapt, and push forward stronger. Let me hear from you, Steelers Nation Wire. How do you see this scenario playing out? Do you want Odom signed? Who should step up on special teams? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and if you're not already part of the family, hit subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire. We ride together, every snap, every story.